the positive part is that we have now, with the 18th Amendment to the Constitution, Article 25A, which obliges the government of Pakistan, provincial, district, federal, Pakistan, to provide free and compulsory education to children in this age group, 5 till 16. So meaning 1 year Katsi, preschool, and the 9 years of basic education, primary, elementary, middle, or what we call in other countries lower secondary. So this is a very important legal instrument. So like in other countries, a parent could go and sue the government, you know, and say, hey, according to the law, according to the Constitution, you should provide free. So this is an important tool also for advocacy, yeah, where we continuously can remind the government of their duty as a duty bearer. We, for example, work in the gender and education policy support project, and now also under the umbrella of the United Nations Girls Education Initiative, with parliamentarians,
Yes.
organizing debates, fora of parliamentarians in different provincial assemblies. So we had, I think had a couple of meetings over the last couple of months in Punjab, parliamentarians. The last one I was participating in the end of May. It was very timely because it was the discussions on budgets. And again, you know, compared to other countries, the overall percentage, you know, of GDP going to education is far too low. It's only, well, barely 2%. Yeah, and it should be ideally 7%, but in many countries I've worked, you know, in the developing world, 4 or 5%. So there is it important to do the advocacy and the lobbying from all, you know, stakeholders involved, including parliamentarians, to ensure that budgets will go up. And in the case, as I said, the meeting in May was timely. We got word back that indeed, you know, not only due to our meetings, which we facilitated, but the awareness raising in general has increased the budget in terms of the Punjab province, you know, for education. I came in from Quetta yesterday. On Monday we had again a parliamentarian forum with missionaries from the Pakistan Education Task Force, the Secretary of Education, and we were there together with UNESCO. Because as you know, we here in Pakistan, we have the delivery as one, United Nations joint programs, also on education, where participating agencies, UNESCO, Unicef, but also WFP, UNHCR, ILO, etc., all come together to support the provincial education departments and the government in general to really ensure, you know, quality education. So this is one example where we now are organizing at the provincial level parliamentarian caucus and bring them together. We had already, I think it was in March or April, the parliamentarians from Sindh were invited by the parliamentarians of AGK, including the Minister of Education of Sindh, to meet up with their counterparts in Muzaffarabad. So this kind of exchange programs will continue to have in the end one interprovincial kind of parliamentarian caucus which can represent Pakistan also at the South Asia regional level. End of September there will be a meeting, and then delegates hopefully from the various provincial parliaments, you know, can come. I think that the meeting is in Kathmandu, and, you know, exchange experiences with other countries, Nepal, Bangladesh, and so on. So this is part under the overall umbrella of the United Nations Girls Education Initiative. And here we had a good news that the Pakistan chapter was launched in early December. So I made for the camera.
Yes.
You can zoom in, you know, but it was by the Speaker of the National Assembly, yeah, and also with Nafisha Shah from Sindh and from NCSD as a co-chair with UNICEF staff at headquarter levels in New York, who came to launch the Pakistan Education chapter. Again, this is all in the context of international commitments made by the Pakistan government. You know, I'm referring to education for all, yeah, by 2015, and one of the goals relates to gender parity. Yeah? The other one on illiteracy, the other one of preschool, and so forth. Together with the Millennium Development Goals. And we are now in 2011, and with the numbers of out-of-school children I just mentioned to you, there's a huge challenge for Pakistan. Not only for the government, but for all stakeholders involved. I would go, say, down to any citizen to ensure that those goals are reached. Why is this important? As milestones. Because with education, it's the tool for a more just and equitable society, where no one is left behind, boys and girls, and particularly many disadvantaged groups. As I mentioned, particularly those girls and boys in rural, remote areas affected by conflict, crisis, or by natural disasters. We're also talking, for example, in Quetta, was a representative of the minority groups. We were saying, okay, yes, even minorities, of course, need to receive quality education. Worldwide, and also here in the country office of Pakistan, we are using the child-friendly school approach. And in November, early November, we are bringing together at a high-level orientation meeting all the provincial education authorities and the federal level, at the time the minister, and an Islamabad declaration on standards, national standards for child-friendly inclusive education were discussed and endorsed and improved. So this gives us the overall kind of idea on how to promote quality education. And this also includes, of course, standards for teachers, for their professional development, standards for early learning, for early childhood education. So we, over the last 10 years or so, and I would say in Punjab with our office in Lahore, spearheading, converting schools into child-friendly, inclusive learning environments. So we have been able to convert more than 1,800 schools so far in the various districts where we are working. And we got a good news recently, a notification of the Secretary of Education saying that yes, in all districts we have to go for child-friendly schools according to those standards. So this is quite important. Child-friendly learning environment means good teachers, a student, child-centered kind of teaching, learning approach. No, the old classic rote learning, where the teachers is standing in front, talking and talking, and just the children are listening. So here again, in our transitional school, you can see the type of furniture which promotes group work, cooperative learning. So this is one aspect. The other aspect is, of course, participation. Participation of all stakeholders involved in the school community. Headmaster, headmistress, teachers, students, parent-teacher or school council, management, community members. All have a role to play because it's their school. And this is also what we said to the minister. It's important that the community takes care of the school in terms of the maintenance, in terms of providing, for example, chokidars. So this is the participation part, one important part within the child-friendly school framework or approach. Well, and here we go back to what I earlier mentioned on disadvantaged group, inclusiveness, to ensure that everyone, without exception, can benefit of quality education. And particularly also those most disadvantaged, excluded groups. We from Unicef are refocusing on what we call the equity agenda. And I was mentioning earlier, education is an important tool for development of the country, but also to promote equity and a just society. So meaning again that all children, wherever they are, have the right to receive this quality education. So from exclusion, go towards inclusion.
Yes.
And it is also children with, independently of their ability or disability. Yeah? Then there are many examples in different countries. I was also working in Indonesia, where, for example, children with hearing and visual impairment were integrated into the mainstream schools and the public schools, where teachers were trained in inclusive education resource centers or training centers to how to deal with those kids. For example, I'm visually impaired. I have glasses. Yeah. Of many others. So instead of sitting behind the back row of the classroom, they can sit in front, closer to the blackboard. Same story for kids with hearing impairments. So there are many kind of strategies. So it's important also in the teacher training, be it in service or pre-service, to ensure that this notion of inclusive education, of child-friendly school, is included. Yeah? Is part and parcel of the curricula. Related to this and to the emergency early recovery phases. Unfortunately, Pakistan has suffered a lot. Earthquake, 2005. Continuing crisis, conflict related. SOP, earthquake, and now of course the devastations of the floods.